not. We accept that if it's done properly and it's brought in properly, it will produce jobs and it will boost the economy. Unfortunately, it's not been negotiated in with the union. It's seeking to destroy the work-life balance of all the staff, not just the train drivers, the station staff, the engineers, the train maintainers, everyone. And the rosters that they put forward are just not acceptable.
Can you explain what you mean about destroying the work-life balance, particularly as, you know, there are a number of people trying to make their ways home this evening who think that their work-life balance may well have been slightly toyed with. The fact is that you are being offered bonuses, you are being offered a pay rise, you are being offered compensation for this switch to new hours. Isn't that correct?
Well, how many times do we have to say it's not about money? I mean, how many times do we have to say that before people get the message? What we mean about work-life balance is some of these rosters are rostering people 23 weekends out of 24. I mean, if you've only got access to your children at the weekend, that's an average of twice a year you're going to have quality time with them. And it's just not acceptable. Now, you can say that no one likes to cause the public any inconvenience, but this is completely in the hands of Boris Johnson, who's driving through the night tube, trying to do it on the cheap. And by the way, there's a political dimension to this as well, because we believe the Tory party are trying to bring in the anti-union legislation on the back of this tube strike.
Do you understand, though, Mr Hedley, that every time that there is industrial action involving, amongst others, the RMT, that there is a focus on your working conditions, your terms and conditions? I mean, would you accept that for the vast majority of people living in London at the moment, the life of a tube driver doesn't seem too bad at all?
When are you going to realise that it's not just tube drivers we're dealing with? Station staff have had their wages reduced from 30,000 down to 23,000. People are being asked to cover duties and not getting paid for those duties at a higher grade. So it's not just about tube drivers. And why shouldn't all working class people get paid a decent wage? Is there some sort of middle class envy going on here?
Absolutely not, Mr Hedley, but I'm sure that the majority of people who would have been using the tube this evening are not on, contracts for 36 hours with 43 days holiday a year. I understand the frustration that perhaps that the Mayor of London and others have moved forward rather quickly with the plans for the night tube, but given the fact that you already enjoy, a fairly decent compensation package, isn't it now the point at which some concessions on your side have to be made?
Well, if I was to offer you £500 a year non-consolidated to see your children twice a year, would you accept that? I mean, the fact of the matter is we're not in a race to the bottom here. We want to bring every worker's salary up, not just in our industry, but altogether. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable for people to know when they're going to be rostered. They have a reasonable work-life balance, not be expected to work 23 weekends out of 24 and work night shifts on top of that.
Again, returning to this point about the work-life balance, we're being told by TfL and others that this is for a transitional period until the night tube is up and running. I see you smirking there. I mean, what's your understanding of what this means? Because they're saying that people are not going to have to work more weekends than they have to.
We've seen the rosters. With all due respect, we've seen the rosters. And TfL, I have to give them credit, they've done something which has never been done before. You've united all four unions across the transport industry, across the tube, in opposition to these. People have seen the rosters. There's no good them telling untruths and telling blatant lies that it doesn't contain more nights and it doesn't contain weekends, when people see it does.
So can I be absolutely clear that when the Mayor of London and others, including TfL, are saying that staff will not be forced to work night shifts unless they agree to it, that they will be getting compensated for it during this transitional period, that they are lying?
They're telling lies, yes. They absolutely are. And I think it's an absolute disgrace. Well, Boris Johnson actually said he wasn't going to cut frontline staff, didn't he? He's already got rid of 2,000. He wants to get rid of another 830. And most people would understand, I think, that if you're going to bring more shifts in, you need more staff to cover that and not less staff.
Mr Hedley, thanks very much for your time.